After starting the season with a very nice 6-3 record to the season, the Raptors have kind of fallen off a little bit in the win-loss department. However, the losses started to pile up after the injury bug hit the team. So in today's video, we're going to look at what this Toronto Raptors team really looks like when it's fully healthy. Let's get into it. Welcome NBA and Raptors fans. This is Amateur Hour Sports, your source for everything Raptors related. We do Raptors news coverage, game recap, mock trade breakdowns, and so much more. So if it's the first time here with me today and you like what you see, you want more of myself talking about the NBA and the Raptors and videos and content just like this 4 times a week at least, then make sure you are subscribed to Amateur Hour Sports. Hit that sub button down below. Help us get to 8,000 subscribers. But let's get down to our topic for today's video. So we want to break down what this Raptors team looks like when it is fully healthy. So what does the starting lineup and the bench rotation look like when the team is healthy? And also, how good is this team if it is fully healthy? If it ever is fully healthy, because there are so many constant injuries going on with this team. OG Anunoby had a little hip bump in practice and he is out, and he's been out, and apparently he's going to be out for the foreseeable future. Khem Birch has been in and out with injuries, and he's also out, quote, for the foreseeable future. We've got Precious Achiuwa, who's got this niggling injury that's kind of bugging him. So some games he's in, some games he's out. When he's in, sometimes he goes in as questionable. Yuta Watanabe's missed a ton of time. Siakam had that one earlier on in the season, but usually Siakam is typically kind of injury-free. But regardless, there's always somebody seemingly injured on this team. It always seems to be one of those key players who is injured. So we can't really gauge how good this Raptors team can be unless we see the fully healthy team. But we may not ever see that fully healthy team. But let's try to predict, how good would this team be if it was fully healthy? So let's go to the start of the season. We were 6-3 at the time. We had a lot of our key pieces. We were a well-rounded team. However, Siakam was the one who was injured, as well as Yuta Watanabe. Those were the only two. We started 6-3. Then as Siakam came back, there was other injuries that started to mount. Khem Birch again in and out of the team. OG Anunoby has been injured. Scotty Barnes missed a couple of games. Gary Trent Jr. missed a few games as well. So very difficult to kind of understand what this team would look like. However, when the main 5 guys in this team, Van Vliet, Gary Trent, OG, Barnes, and Siakam, are all healthy, it seems like they are going to be starting together. Personally, I don't like it. I didn't like the small ball lineup last season, and I still don't like it this season. But Nick Nurse, I think he has a hard time putting one of those 5 guys on the bench. And I mean, I kind of agree. The only 2 that I could see maybe demoting to the bench are Gary Trent and Scotty Barnes. However, Gary Trent just offers something different that we need, that shooting guard who can create his own shot and seemingly turn nothing into something on the offensive end, especially in those clutch situations. But from the start, could you maybe put him on the bench? I don't think you can, especially because his numbers as a bench player are significantly lower than as a starter. Gary Trent, you can't put on the bench. The other one maybe is Scotty Barnes. You could put on the bench, but even for him, the way he's been playing, it'd be difficult too. But that is the one that I would see the most coming off the bench. But I just don't think that's necessary for Scotty Barnes' development. So you kind of have to roll with a small ball starting 5. I don't like it. I really think you should find a way to get Khem Birch in that starting 5. The only way to do it for me would be to take out Scotty Barnes, because you really cannot take out Van Vliet, Anunoby, or Siakam, despite any of your thoughts. None of those guys are coming out in the starting lineup. So I think it is safe to say that when this team is fully healthy, the small ball lineup is going to be the lineup. And maybe you can take out Scotty Barnes like after a few minutes into the game and throw in Khem Birch to get a little bit more stability, just kind of start the game with that free-flowing offense. I don't know. Nick Nurse can structure the offense and the rotations however he likes. That's kind of what I would do in that situation. But the bench would get a little bit more complicated when you go with a small ball starting 5, because now you've got Khem Birch, who absolutely has to come off the bench if he's healthy. He has been great this season. He's not a box score, stat sheet stuffer, but he's a guy who influences winning. He has been tremendous this season. I would love to have 2 Khem Birches on this team, but we're only confined to the one. However, I'd love to go get out another center who can protect the rim like him. That would be great. And you also got Precious Achiuwa coming off the bench. He's been hot and cold, more cold than hot this season. But as a young player, you kind of want to see what you can get out of Precious Achiuwa this season. See if you can rely on his game in the future. So he's got to be in the rotation. Yuta Watanabe as a defensive player is somebody that is going to be, I think, in that 9-man rotation. Really needs to figure out how to get some consistency on offense. Some games he's great. Some games he really is a non-factor. The defense is there, but we need to see a little bit more consistency on the offensive end. Nick Nurse said after last season, that, Yuta Watanabe's shooting, it's great, we need it to be scary. And that is what Yuta Watanabe should aspire to get to. That shooter you just simply cannot leave open on the other team. And to round off the bench, I mean, you've got basically a center, two centers even, and a forward. You really need to have a guard coming off of the bench. So that guard is probably going to be Delano Banton. But Delano Banton, since his really hard start to the season, has really become not much of a factor for this Raptors team. Can't get himself going on the interior. Can't get himself really any points in the recent few games. And I mean, defensively, he's been all right. Rotations are a little bit off. I mean, you can expect that from a second round pick that's a rookie. The rotation on defense is a little bit off. It's a very difficult system to kind of get yourself accustomed to. Offensively, I'd like to see a little bit more out of him. However, again, that's a 46 overall pick. I'm willing to be patient. But in that patience time, I think you can swap a little bit of those minutes out for Malachi Flynn. We saw in the New York Knicks game on Friday night that Malachi Flynn actually started the fourth quarter, which is usually Delano Banton's rotational spot. But after not really affecting the game in his 7 minutes prior to that, Malachi Flynn got some time, and even he doesn't affect the game much. So kind of pick your poison with the bench there to go with Malachi Flynn or Delano Banton. So to sum up how I think the rotation will look, it's the small ball starting five of Van Vliet, Trent, Anunoby, Barnes, and Siakam as the center. Not that I really like it. I just think that's the way it's going to be. On the bench, you've probably got Birch, Achua, Watanabe, and either Banton or Flynn. I just don't think Simi Hyluk or Chris Boucher have done enough to continue to get spots in the rotation. If everybody's healthy, I just don't think Boucher has a spot. We've already seen I did not play for him earlier this season. And for Simi Hyluk, he's really got to start hitting more of his shots if he wants to get himself in that rotation. So how good is this team if we make those adjustments? If we have everybody healthy? Right now we're 12-14, nice win against the New York Knicks on Friday, bing bong. But how good can this team be if everybody is healthy? We haven't really seen enough, or even any game where the Raptors have had nobody on their injury report. And I don't think we're ever going to see one, to be honest. OG is pretty injury prone, and we've had just so many of these little injuries happening. But if we did, what could we become? How good would we be? And I think that the answer to this question is not really that good of an answer, because I just don't think the Raptors are that much better than they currently are. I think that performance-wise, we could be a little bit better. I think even in some of those really brutal losses, it's just a little bit better from the Raptors with their starters on and their full team available. It's a little bit better. Like the game against the Thunder, I think full strength, we win that game. We lose by 1 point in the end after blowing a lead. And against the Knicks, we barely scrape over the line after having a 20-point lead earlier on in the game. But the shooting, the efficiency, I mean, that was just a horrible game for the neutral. Both teams were pretty pathetic on offense. Sure, if you want to call it a defensive battle. I think Raptors starters and Raptors having a full available team is a little bit better in that game. We probably win the game a little bit more comfortably, but I just don't think it makes a true huge difference to the team. I would love to see how good they can become if everybody is starting. And if everybody's starting from now until the end of the season, I just don't think we're that really high up in the Eastern Conference. It is a very loaded Eastern Conference this season. There's no secret. There's so many good teams in the East. The Raptors are just a tick under those real playoff teams in the Eastern Conference. I don't think it should come as a surprise for me saying that. If we have a full strength team, I think that we can solidify ourselves as like a 7, 8, 9, or 10 seed. I think right now with this current team, the way kind of injuries are going, we're looking like a play-in caliber team. But I think if we have, the profit of having every player available, maybe we can move up just a little bit into a playoff spot. But I think ultimately it is going to come down to the fact that playing for what? Does Masai Ujiri, does Bobby Webster, do they really want to make the play-in tournament? Like, what does the play-in tournament have to offer us? Okay, great. You won the play-in tournament. You're in the playoffs. Now what? Oh, boy. A first-round matchup against one of the best teams in the East, be it the Nets, be it the Heat, be it the Bucks, be it the Bulls. That's probably a first-round playoff exit. Is it really worth going for all that? And in my opinion, I don't quite think it is. But I would love to see this team play together because I want them to develop together. I want this team to get used to each other, build up the chemistry with each other, and help get each other to the next level. Part of that is going to be hoping that the injury bug just kind of tails away from the Toronto Raptors team. Hopefully no outbreaks come out within the team again, because I really don't want to watch that kind of basketball again like last season when it happened. And I also think that trades still need to happen. I pretty much say in every video, we do need some scoring off of the bench. Like the bench I laid out for you guys in this one of Banton, Watanabe, Achua, and Birch. where is the scoring going to come from with that bench? It's a pretty pathetic bench, honest to God. Like, no disrespect to the players. There's no score on the bench. There's no player who is capable of scoring on that bench. Gary Trent has to get a lot of minutes with the second unit because he's the only guy who can really space the floor. You might have to play Svi just to have that extra little bit of spacing, but even he isn't hitting his shots. The team is struggling. It needs a true center to help out with Kem Birch, especially given that he has been injured so much, and it needs some scoring off the bench. The center isn't going to come from Miles Turner. That trade just doesn't make sense. I have a video I did about it last week. You can check out on that. But just a solid rim protector for this team would be very much appreciated and would make the Raptors very much more watchable. Going back to the New York Knicks game, I mean, they had a ton of points coming off the bench. I think they had something like 40 points off the bench. I honestly think the Raptors had like 11 bench points in that game. I'll flash it on the screen what it actually was, but oh boy, like we need some help on the bench. We need some trades. But if the team is fully healthy, I just don't think because of the things we need, the team gets that much better. It would just be a lot more exciting to watch and a lot more enjoyable to watch. But we'll have to see if we ever truly get an extended run with no injuries. So how good do you think this Raptors team is when everybody is healthy? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think they're better than I suggested? Do you think they're worse than I suggested? Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below, because that is it for me for today. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. Please drop a like on the video if you did enjoy. It goes a long way to helping us reach some new viewers, and make sure you are subscribed to the channel. You get 4 Raptors videos every single week at least. So make sure you're up to date with amateur sports. The button is in the middle of the screen, somewhere around here right now. Just easy click to subscribe to the channel and stay up to date with all that great content coming your way. We'll see you again next time for another video.